Hello, my name is Marcia Therese Danzig, and I'm here with my wonderful father, Robert J. Danzig, or should I say Robert James Danzig, who was a former president of Hearst Newspapers, vice president of the Hearst Corporation, and motivational speaker. He has written a book called Angel Threads, which is a wonderful series of stories about people who have experienced the weaving together of different situations that have brought them amazing results. And he's going to talk today a little bit about the book and about some of the stories in his own life that have been angel threads for him. Take it away, Dad.
Delighted to do that. Once again, I love that wonderful father statement, but every day I would want to have that statement about them. The book was based upon a thesis I've had for many, many years that everyone looking at this video right now has a tapestry of life that's being woven. And in our tapestries, certain threads are more brilliant and more enduring. And when you stop and think about your major life choices, your values, your character, the people who may have endorsed or guided or encouraged you, one thesis is they could have been in your path by random coincidence, if you're comfortable with that, or they could have been the tool of an angel whispering through them to offer that thread. The key is whether you take the thread or not. If you don't, it just goes right on by. But you can more than likely think right now of key events in your life and who it was that influenced you to accept that thread to be woven into your own personal tapestry. What I find fascinating is the idea that these tapestries are never woven. They're being woven all of your life. And so it's not as if your tapestry was complete and final because of those things, but it's an open tapestry with new colors, new fabrics, and new components that guide the rest of your life if you're open to receiving them. And I have a few that come to my mind, all right? One was a social worker I had when I was about 11 years old. Her name was Mae Morse. She's a tall, kind of a grayish blonde lady. Looked a little hawkish to me as a child. But the very first time she met with me, telling me the name of the new foster family I was going to, she reached over and she took my hand as I'm taking my Marcia's hand right now. And she looked me in the eye and said, I want you never to forget you are worthwhile. Nobody ever said that to me before. I can remember feeling like driftwood that went from place to place, never belonging any place. But when she said that to me, which she said every time she met with me during the next year when she was my continuing social worker, never forget you are worthwhile, I began to feel like a person for the first time. I never forgot her words. They stayed with me all of my life. And I think towards the end of this, I may circle back and tell you a little story about that Mae Morse. A second angel thread came to me when I got my first job as an office boy at the Albany Times Union, Albany, New York. I did not know it, but my first boss, her name was Margaret Mahoney, had been a foster parent. And she later told me that when she found out I had come through the foster care system, it incented her to take an interest in me. And one Saturday morning, worked there about 6 months, we were both covering a complaint phone, a late newspaper, a wet newspaper. And she said to me, I want to see you in my office. I was scared to death. I thought for sure I was going to get fired. Then I sat down and she said to me, I've been the office manager 15 years and I've been observing you. I'm 17 years old. She said, I've been observing you. And then she said to me, I believe you are full of promise. That moment, she gave me permission to have ambition. I never forgot her words. They were like warm milk pouring over my spirit to think that I could be something, not just an office boy. That was a gift. I went in the Navy for 3 years. And I was on a ship called the USS Recovery. And I was a radioman. And the bunk above me was occupied by a fellow who was a signalman. So we worked in the same part of the ship. His name was Bob Myers. Now, I must tell you, before I went to the Navy, I had never read a book. I had drifted through school. I just tried to kind of fade away and drift through school. Well, he had been an English major at New York University. He had a broken romance. He joined the Navy. And he brought to the Navy ship a copy of all the modern library great works of literature. And there's nothing to do with the ship. We're bobbing around the ocean for most of the time. And he adopts me and has me begin to read these books. And he explained the character development, the nuance, the writing styles. By the time I left the Navy, I had read all these great works of literature. But more than that, I was tutored by him because I was open to receive that angel thread from Bob Myers. I get out of the Navy, I go to college nights. I'm an English major now, of course, because I had all these books I read. And I'm a star student. But I'm not smart. I'm just well tutored by that fellow being in the bunk above me and embracing me. Now, the college had a little literary publication called the Beverwick Magazine. And English majors were encouraged to send in a little essay, a short poem, anything that might arrive there. It did not have to be good to get published. They just had to fill the little magazine. But they had a style of only using the first letter of your name, of your first name. So as I sent little essays and other things in, they all carried R. Danzig. Well, I did not realize it, but the publisher of our newspaper was on the board of trustees for that college. Now, like many of you, I've been on several college boards. They send you all this stuff, and you throw most of it away. But because he always loved writing, his name was Gene Robb, he would pluck out that little Beverwick magazine and he'd read it because he loved writing. And one day I'm in the elevator, and he's on the elevator with me, just the two of us. By then I'm like a junior advertising manager. And he said to me, I see an R. Danzig at the Beverwick in Siena College. Is that a relative of yours? And I said, no, Mr. Robb, that's me. I go there nights. I'm an English major. And unbeknownst to me, for the next 3 years, he had my grades sent to him at the end of every semester. He told me that over breakfast on a Saturday morning at the DeWitt Clinton Hotel in Albany, New York. He had called me to invite me to breakfast with him. I was terrified that I was going to get fired. You know, the giant of a guy running the whole company and this little junior fella. And he told me that he'd been getting my grades. And he said to me, I've decided that I'm going to retire in 12 years. Now I'm going to put you into a program to learn every aspect of the business so you might succeed me someday. And I did. I consider all those, May Morse, Mark Mahoney, Bob Myers, Gene Robb, angel threads that get infused in the tapestry of my life. You should look for your angel threads now and forever and let them in the tapestry of your life.
Thank you. One of the things I hear in the stories that you're telling also is a sense of appreciation and gratitude for the gifts when they came. So in appreciation and gratitude for you, Dad, I want to tell people about your book, Angel Threads, which you can get at www.bobdanzig.com and on Amazon. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.